state of Florida. And not necessarily because it was so beautiful, but because Florida has implemented a true medical marijuana law. We close that door in the back. Thanks. No. You know what? Because what I'd rather do is everybody be quiet and listen to me. If I'm booming with a microphone, I have chatter going on around the room. I came today, my associate in the back told me about 2 weeks ago that we were going to have a discussion in New York about a possible recreational cannabis law. And I thought, just so people understand, I've been involved in the cannabis movement in this country now for 17 years straight. We close that door. Let's just close it and shut it. If they didn't make it in, they didn't make it in. All right. I got involved in cannabis 17 years ago. And I didn't get involved in cannabis because it was such a green rush, a new gold rush, financial opportunity. I got involved in cannabis 17 years ago because after I had doctors prescribe enough opioids to me to shut down my intestines so that now I have to have surgery to correct some of the damage done from my year of abuse of opioids that no one knew about, I decided at the recommendation of one of the top doctors in this country and in the world when it comes to cannabis, when it comes to MS, the doctor said to me, after he looked me in the face and said, "Montel, I'm done with you. I'm not writing another prescription." Done. And guess what? I know the 5 other doctors you've been talking to. They're not doing it either. So you're going to have to figure out what to do. And I'd suggest for you, if you think about this, I heard, and I'll never say that I told you this, but I heard that marijuana works. I don't know how. You figure it out. I can't recommend it to you, but you figure it out. 2 weeks later, when I picked myself up from the street in Manhattan, having thrown myself in front of a car, attempting to take a life, I realized I'm done. So I decided to make a change. And as I made that change, I started learning about something that has been one of the most egregiously offensive violations of our rights as human beings in the history of medicine. And it's weird because I'm standing in a room, majority African Americans, and no matter how much we get information about the medical properties of, we have been so tainted by the way the society has treated us individually when it comes to marijuana, that we can't even have a conversation about marijuana as a possible healing medical agent. So I thank you, Senator, for inviting me here. Jason, thank you. I know you were kind of the guy that's behind this, trying to make sure people stop, they ask them to come. Because it's kind of time right now for, as you see all over the country, there's Me Too, no more, this time, my time, hashtag. Everybody says stop the stupid. Everybody. And there's so much stupid that you don't know where to begin. Right now in New York, you have an opportunity to stop the stupid when it comes to something called cannabis. And I'm going to start by stopping the stupid by talking about some facts. One of the most disgusting things in this country is that if someone makes up a fact and they perpetuate it and put it out, they say it long enough, we see how easily we are so just like little lemmings. Say it enough. Watch this. Say this enough. I will guarantee you that 90% of people in this room do not know why marijuana is illegal. You know, you think it was made illegal because it was a bad drug, somebody researched it and decided to ban it, and no. Marijuana is illegal for one reason. The Marijuana Tax Act of 1937. That was pushed by two people, William Randolph Hearst and DuPont. And why?
Money.
Money, man, that's just part.
Hemp.
Part. Let's look at America. Since the time it was founded until 1961, every sale, every sheet, every uniform, every piece of clothing, half the protein food porridges you ate was hemp. Every one of your forefathers grew it, sold it, enslaved us to grow it. Now, 300 years later, enslaving us. And let's get this straight, especially here in New York. You have the worst record in this state of any state for marijuana arrest, and it is deplorable when you look at it from district to state to region to region to region. In this state, last year alone, 2014, 23,000 arrests for incidental possession and marijuana and shit. Right? 23,000. 18,000 were black or brown. 18. And what jails do we send them to? Oh, let's make sure we understand that all up in this area got lots of prisons up here making a lot of money off of enslaving black men and Hispanics. But why? Let's go back to what I wanted to show you before I got distracted in myself. Listen. Wait, don't laugh. That was Harry, standing on the Capitol steps in Washington, D.C. in 1935. Let's play it again. Technology, you know?
Marijuana influences Negroes to look at white people in the eye, step on white men's shadows, and look at a white woman twice.
How many of you saw the movie Reefer Madness? Who are the villains? Blacks. Are you kidding me? You think that Beauregard tried to repeal the Cole Memo? I'm talking about Sessions. His middle name, Beauregard. Named after one of the most vicious slave murderers of the Civil War. Oh, his family made sure they got that included in his name. Why do you think he wants the Cole Memo repealed? Because it stopped him from enslaving more black men. Don't play. They've been trying their best to erase a black man who was in office. Everything it's done is to erase us. Now, in spite of whether or not you can find some sort of value. Now, I say all that to say that's the reason why the negative in 1941, right after the Marijuana Tax Act, the mayor of New York, De La Guardia, commissioned a study and called the passage of the 37 Tax Act the most egregiously offensive ruling ever made by the United States government. Back then. But because we needed to make sure we vilified this as much as we could, we had to make sure for the next 30 years, Anslinger made it his work, his life's work, to get the whole world to ban cannabis. 1963, UN resolution, banning the distribution of hemp and cannabis. So, in the last 10 years, over 20 countries have pulled out of that resolution. Why? Because science has finally figured out the truth. Cannabis, the marijuana sativa plant, that plant has more medical properties than we could even imagine. But our government restricts any research into its medical efficacy by any companies in the United States. But that same government funds research outside of the United States in places like Israel, and that same government owns the patent to THC.
Wow.
Now, wait, if you think I am lying, I need you to Google U.S. patent for THC. Why do that? I mean, really, seriously. I know I've got eyes looking at me like I'm crazy, but I'm here to tell you, if you don't see what's going on here, there is a lot of crazy. Now I get that we don't see what's going on at the national level. Get it. Why would you worry about something that you can't control? But at the state level, you can control. Now, so you say, okay, wait a minute, Montel. But, okay, so why do we need to have another bad drug in the marketplace? Well, let's talk about that for a second. 17 years ago, I was on, let me back up for a second. Give you a little history of me. Where does all this come from? And I did 22 years in our United States military. 22. Tested and drug tested the entire time. I served in 2 branches of the service, the United States Marine Corps and the United States Navy. I was meritoriously promoted 4 times in the United States Marine Corps to the level of E4, and I was commissioned ahead of my time, called deep selected, to the rank of O4. I got out as a lieutenant commander, so 22 years. I'm a graduate of the United States Naval Academy, Annapolis, Maryland. I got a degree in engineering, got a minor in international security affairs. Why? I studied Russian at the Defense Language Institute. I spent 10 years as a spy. You hear this garbage that they talk about on television, I laugh. I hold the highest clearances this country has ever held. I have 320 days under the water, 600 days on the water. Whoa. Okay? I was in every hot spot this country. I've been shot at, I've been run over. Okay? So I'm not talking to you as some junkie, somebody that they would like to depict me as. I'm the guy who grew up as any parent in this country would love to see their child grow up that way. And this same guy got hit with the biggest brick you could even imagine in life. 17 years ago, I got diagnosed with MS, intractable MS. And I should tell you a little story real quick so you understand this. This is after having 1 year before this. Hey, this is really kind of crazy. Watch this. I woke up one morning, this is back in 1997. No, sorry. Yeah, 97. I literally woke up. I was laying in bed, felt something weird on my nose. Felt like this. I got a nice house. Shouldn't be no roaches, but you know. I remember as a kid too. Come on. So I was feeling something. I jumped up, run to the bathroom. By the time I got to the bathroom, my hand was full of blood. Wow. I left a trail of blood across the floor. Get in the bathroom. Still bleeding a little bit. I ran and I called a doctor. I happened to be going through a separation at the time, so I had 2 small children at home, no nanny. I'm bleeding profusely. I got to call an ambulance. Got to get somebody to come over. I jump in the car, put the kids in the back, and run to the hospital. At the hospital, they do everything. They run hoses up my nose, everything. Can't find the spot the blood came from. Thought that was weird. Doctor said, well, you must have scratched yourself while you were sleeping. I said, did you see how much blood I left on the floor? I said, no, well, I can't find anything. Long story short, for the next 30 days, every day I bled. I went through 6 cauterization surgeries, went through another full surgery, ended up at Beth Israel North, where they literally stated, we cannot believe that Montel Williams came in our hospital and he almost died from a nosebleed. But that happened, I recovered from that, and that really wasn't what triggered my MS, but it just so happened 8 months later, I'm on an airplane flying from here out to Utah to go shoot an episode of the show Touched by an Angel. Y'all remember that show? Yes. Della Reese, right? Yes. Della and Roman Downey Jr. and Romy was the angel, right? So every time at the end of the movie or at the end of the show, you know, Roman would go over and go, I'm the Dominic, and somebody, boom, they go to heaven, right? I played the only character in that series that they sent straight to hell. And it was a trip because I played this cult leader like Jimmy Jones, right? This guy was like, during the whole episode, I ended up setting the church on fire. I'm trying to kill all the little children, you know. I'm like, I'm the worst person in the world. At the end of the episode, they looked at, at the spot where the angel normally, blesses you and turns you okay. They looked at Rome and she went, like, turn around, boom, they sent me straight to hell. Well, when I read that script, headed out there to Utah, I'm looking at this thing, and I got an acting coach. There's like 5 scenes. I'm supposed to be screaming and crying in the church, right? I couldn't figure out how am I going to pull this off. Look real. I got on a plane Friday morning to fly out to Utah to shoot this, and had what was then for me the first real episode of MS that I had ever gone through with this magnitude. But my body went into pain on that plane. And when I say pain, I have extreme neuropathic pain in my feet. It feels like somebody's taking a hot poker and just shoving it right up the bottom of that bone and cracking it off. And that's not for a minute. It's 24 hours a day. If I stop here right now and concentrate, it'd be right here. If I weren't in this room, I'd walk right out there in that corner, take a big hit of what I got. It goes right away. When I first got diagnosed, that's what sent me to the doctor, chasing everything from Vicodin, the Percocet, the Talwin, the Oxycontin, to you name it. I took it. And I didn't take 1. I was taking 5 and 6. Enough that I could sit in the corner and drool for 4 hours before I got up to consciously know who I was. And did it stop the pain? No. Now, does marijuana stop the pain immediately? No. Does marijuana make it livable? Yes. Does marijuana actually affect my nerve endings? Yes. Has research now been proven that there are things that are going on in marijuana we never knew before, like every single person sitting in this room, whether you had marijuana or not, ever used it in your life? Right now I can test your blood and find something in you that's called an endocannabinoid. Why? Because we have a system that's our a sympathetic nervous system that's called the endocannabinoid system within our bodies that allow us to metabolize a chemical that is molecularly structured just like the THC and the CBD and the cannabinoids that come out of plants. Fact! I just did a show 5 weeks ago with Dr. Oz. Fact! There's research out right now from Harvard all over the world that is proving that marijuana could be the #1 exit drug from opioid addiction. This ain't me talking. Look it up. Now, we're in a room talking about legislation to decriminalize. No, not decriminalize, to legalize. People like this term recreational. We'll drop that. Anybody that's in this room right now that's thinking about helping to pass legislation to make marijuana available, drop recreational. Do you go have recreational beer? Do you? You have adult use beer. Adult use scotch. Adults have a right to make a decision about what they are capable of doing and not doing. So understand. And let's just look at it this way. I just said alcohol. I said opioids. I said marijuana. Not one death in the history of the world. Dang, I can outlaw carpet because the carpet's killed somebody. Not one death from cannabis use. Ever. Every single state in this country that has passed a medical marijuana law, they have seen opioid addiction go down by 25% on average. Every state. Every single state that marijuana laws have been passed, teenage usage of marijuana goes down. Why? Why do kids want to use adults' Geritol? It ain't cool no more when mom's hitting it. And I'm not trying to be but seriously, why is it happening? Every state that's passed a medical marijuana law, marijuana usage among teenagers has gone down. So, right now we have 31 states. 8 have some form of adult use or medical together. One of them is kind of weird. We don't know yet because it's not implemented. It's not on. But 31. There are 8 to 11 states that have initiatives coming. So now we're going to be at 41. And yet, I can't take my medication across state lines. And also, watch this. I don't care. I'll tell you, I will be 62 this year. I'm a 62-year-old African-American male with MS. You go look it up yourself. There's a recent document that just came out. I cannot believe these people publish this crap without talking to people. But again, reaffirming that when it comes to MS, African-American men are the worst of all categories. If I look it up right now, it claims that I'm supposed to have a 10 to 15% reduction in my life expectancy. Well, let's think about it, fellas. Just by virtue of the fact that we are here in this room, black males here, we only live to 68. That's our average. 68. If I'm going to miss out on 15% of mine, I'm dead. I'm not talking to you. Now, why am I here? I'm not going to say to you that marijuana is the only reason. No. But I am going to say to you that marijuana is definitely one of the biggest reasons. I have been on a mission for the last 12 years, and really seriously hard for the last 10, trying my best to reduce the symptoms of my illness, the impact of my illness, so that I can still function. And I've worked at everything I can possibly work at. For those in this room that were in the military, you understand, we don't go to battle without having every tool in our arsenal we need. So I use Western medication. I use Eastern medication. I use homeopathic medication. I use a medical device that I literally captured the IP on 5 years ago, and I've taken public because this device is going to change the lives of other people. But that's just 3. Cannabis is a part of my tools that I use every single day. Every day. And for those of you who don't understand, and I'll stop because I know we have other presenters that need to participate here. You hear me talking, you say, well, Montel, I get it. We should just expand the medical program here in the state, and you don't have to do recreation. Well, take a look at the medical program in the state. First off, again, all these movements are telling you that people are saying enough is enough. It's time that we as African Americans start saying enough is enough. Let me tell you, I mean, listen. I don't know what the camera is back there, so I'm watching my words very carefully. We are living at a time where whether we like it or not, the same voices that stated marijuana will make a black man look a white man in the eye, step on a white man's shadow, and look up and down a white woman again. Those voices were alive 37 years ago. Those voices are alive and well right now.
Exactly.
If you think for 1 second that the whole immigration debate isn't doesn't have to do with the last stand of the redneck, you are crazy. Just like whether it be Sitting Bull or any other, the pendulum is swinging. It's already swung. America now is over 52 to 53% people of color. If I can get rid of 800,000 of them and 1,000,002 of them, just like that, I ain't got to worry about that group. So let's still figure out many more I can get rid of. Let's keep making sure that we pass laws that say we decriminalize and make sure the only one we prosecute are blacks, and we can keep those numbers down. This is not by chance. And we have to say enough is enough. And I'm sorry, Senator, I love what you guys have done. I love the fact that you have a coalition here that's working really hard to attempt to do this, but her hands are tied. Her hands are tied. She can't get anything done unless she goes to the same rednecks, the same people who are enslaving us now. And I'm going to don't say a word. Don't even acknowledge that I said that, because I don't want people to out pointing you to say, you told me to say that. Don't. I don't. I said this. Because she knows. And this whole idea that the governor wants to do a little study, let's study it again. You got 31 states that are studying. Right this minute, you got multiple states smaller than this one bringing in $500 million in tax revenue. Oh, right now in the state of New York, you have a $2 billion marijuana industry. Maybe 2.5. And when we see the predominance of people getting arrested, I don't see anybody getting arrested from the Upper East Side. But I will tell you right now, I can go to multiple parties on the Upper East Side that you ain't invited to, that I'm invited to, where I can get anything I want. And that won't change unless we stop the stupid. Part of the stupid comes from us. I'm going to say it again. Part of the stupid comes from us. It is time that some of us, I'm so sorry, and get mad at me. I want you to get mad at me when I say what I'm saying. Senator, you remember this. When we grew up, we may not have agreed with them. We may not have wanted to support them. But every day, there was a black man of purpose on television making a statement. Where do we go? Where are we? Where? I'm not seeing us. I was in Florida yesterday, up at the shooting site. Okay? I was in Ohio, not Ohio, that's right. I'm in so many places. I'm going to be in Europe next month receiving an award, a humanitarian award, because of my work with the Armenian genocide. I'm not saying this to you to do this. What I'm saying is I got involved. I'm involved. I'm trying to do what I can do with this the best I can to make as much noise. But damn it, it is really getting kind of cold up here by myself. And sitting in this room, there are people here who have the ears of a minister of this church and a minister of that church. And I'm sorry, I'm not against any of our clergy. But they've been misled. Because they fear what they know will happen to black men if you even caught with something in your pocket. So they tell you don't. But we got to arm them with the tools that say, why do our people not have the right to the same pain relief as anybody else? So I thank you. I'm going to tell you right now, everybody in this room, I hope you have all signed up. I don't live here anymore. Okay? That's probably good. Because that means I get to come in and say the things she can't say without worry of retribution. I'm going to tell you that, again, this whole concept of studying this, is just a ruse to get you to think this current governor supports it, so you will vote for him, and he's going to continue to enslave you the same way he is right now. And with that, thank you.